If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Chapter 13, Revelation, begins with talking about the beast as a world government. Then it focuses in on a head, on a person. It brings it down to show us that it's not only talking about a world domination, but it's also talking about a world dictator. It's talking about one specific person who is in charge of this global community. But it also mentions another beast. And I find it interesting that it talks about that beast while it's mentioning that this world dictator will make war against the saints. I mean, obviously, this stuff isn't happening right now. It's not afar off, but there are things that need to happen first. I'm not a pre-tribulationist. I do believe where it's talking about he's going to make war with the saints, he's talking about the church that is still here. I mean, if the church was raptured out, he wouldn't be making war against the saints, because the saints would still be here. The Lord is holding it back, though. He's holding it back from happening. There are still some things that need to happen. It's not going to happen tomorrow. There are things that are building. They're in the process, like we talked about the temple. The temple has to be rebuilt. Now we're talking about the false prophet. Now Jesus warned us in Matthew chapter 24 that there will be many false prophets. And there have been. There's been many false prophets. And they keep popping up. And one of the things that you really, really have to know is God will never, ever contradict his word. So the Spirit of God will never contradict the Word of God. So the Bible's never going to tell you to do something and then the Spirit tell you to do the exact opposite. And a false prophet is anyone who leads you away from God. So you really need to take it to God in prayer, but you also need to you also need to go and read the Word, because the enemy is going to come right behind you and try to steal or corrupt or make you believe something that's not true. Because remember, we live in a time of an increasing deception. And I never realized it until the beginning of this year, how much of it's out there. I mean, it was just like my eyes were suddenly opened, and I could see. I mean, you can't even trust the news anymore. You know? You can't believe what you're reading. You can't believe what you hear on the internet. And everybody has an opinion. Right? And people will act like their opinion is the law. I'm going to tell you right now, I do not know who the Antichrist is. I do not know who the false prophet is. But the scriptures do give us clues. And it does tell us that the Antichrist will be revealed. He's going to sit in the temple. Whoever sits in the temple and proclaims himself to be God, guess what? That's the Antichrist. It could be, it's at that point when he's revealed that he's going to make war with the saints. Because it's when the deadly wound is healed that people wonder after him. Right? Oh, well, come along this false prophet who is rarely ever talked about. The false prophet is rarely talked about. And he's only mentioned basically in 2 chapters of the Bible, both in Revelation. Once in 13, in 13, and then once in chapter 21 when he's cast into hell. But in chapter 13 is really only when it talks about it. I mean, yes, it says that when Jesus comes back, he captures the beast and the false prophet, right? So what is this false prophet? Because it mentions him as a beast, yet a beast out of the earth, rather than a beast out of the sea, which indicates that he's not a kingdom, but he is a leader. And he obviously has a following, right? The beast out of the earth that has horns like a lamb, but speaks like a dragon. It almost sounds like an oxymoron, right? Because how would you expect a lamb to speak very softly and, comforting? Whereas a dragon, I've wondered about that. Well, what would it mean to speak like a dragon? Well, you have to think about it. How would a lamb speak? Very peaceful, almost timid, right? But a dragon is bold, forceful. If a dragon were to speak, it would throw you back, right? He spoke as a dragon. It says he had 2 horns like a lamb, but he spoke like a dragon. I think of those fire and brimstone preachers as speaking as a dragon. I see someone bold like Adolf Hitler. He spoke as a dragon, very bold, and he even did that. He hammered his hand on the pulpit, right? And he was eloquent. So this person is going to be very eloquent, but bold, speaking with great authority, probably anger. You see these people in these riots speaking with the bullhorns like dragons, right? They're speaking, That's how I imagine a dragon to speak. Very forceful, But this beast, it says, comes out of the earth. And so he's pretty much the beast's propaganda guy, right? He's lifting up the beast. Does he do it at the time when the beast is killed, or does he do it beforehand? It doesn't really tell us. But it does tell us that he does tell us to make us an image of the beast. And we get the idea of a statue, an image. Because at the time that Revelation was written, an image would be, like an image on a coin or a statue, right? That's what we would think, you know. They had big plaques on Roman buildings that would have the image of Caesar on them, right? But it's the second beast, the false prophet, that is the one that causes both the image of the beast to exist and everyone to worship the beast and also to take the mark of the beast. It's this second beast that actually does this, not the first beast. So it's the second beast that is causing small and great, rich and poor to receive, you know, free and bond, to receive the mark. The 666 on their right hand or their forehead. Right? In it. It's this second beast. It's the second beast that's telling you this. It's actually going to be this false prophet that's going to be leading people to worship not only the beast, his image, and the devil. He's going to be saying, let's worship this beast. I kind of see that at the time when he dies and comes back to life. Because then everybody's going to be going, whoa.
This false prophet will represent a false religion that mandates worship of the beast and his image. And at its core will be satanic.
In this life, we struggle. We have an adversary, don't we? All right. You all know who he is. We call him Mr. Good Time Charlie.
guys like rock and roll?